Welcome to James Hates Everything, and tonight's must-see Thursday is jam-packed. Of course, we have JOEcade here with us tonight as a special guest. We're going to get into some exclusive video and photos of the Team Encoder mod, new project, prototype, whatever you want to call it. But they are hoping to ensure that your arcade one-up pinball machine doesn't become a $700 paperweight. We're also going to talk about the latest news from Unico thanks to 19K Fox and cover all the other arcade news you may have missed. So let's stop talking and get into it. Welcome, Joe. It's glad to finally have you on. And actually, can I call you Joe, or do you prefer Mr. Cade? Or
Joe's fine, James. Glad to finally be here.
I'm glad to
Thanks
have you. You know, we did a stream a while back on another channel where we got to. I think that was the first time I really got to meet you, and since then, talked to you a whole lot. So I'm excited to have you on. So
Same. I love what you do, James. I love your reviews. You know, I'm a big fan of yours. So thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate that. So for anybody who doesn't know who you are, tell everybody, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm from Jersey. Do reviews, speed runs, unboxings, all different types of video games. Passion of mine. I grew up in arcades in the 1980s, Gen X, like you, James, and yeah, just came into this really with the home arcade space. I'm a big fan of arcade one-ups because they were really the first to usher in the possibility of having an arcade in your home. So since then, I've met a lot of great, wonderful people, yourself included, and it's been awesome.
Well, I appreciate that. And it's, it's been cool watching you, get your channel going, and, notice you're getting a lot of partnerships and things like that. So that's always awesome to see. And I actually saw one of your recent shorts, and I love what you did where you have a couple of these shorts where you take an old ad and you compare it to the new ad, and they're really cool. So I love what you did with the Lego and the original
Comparison ads, yeah,
yeah, so good.
I'll take the compliment, but they're easier. They're easier to do because they're just doing it. I mean, they're piggybacking off of older ads now. That's the new thing. Retro is in. But thank you, James. I'll take
Absolutely,
the
but it's
compliment.
great to see them side by side. I thought that was pretty, or top to bottom, as one may say. So it was pretty cool just to see how they did it. I thought it was neat. So
Thank you, James.
creative short idea. So, and you have a few of those, and you have a lot of good shorts. So,
No, I appreciate it.
yeah. So we got a bunch of people in the chat. So I'm gonna run through and say hi to everybody. And early on, looks like Biggie D stopped by. Wanted to be first. Paul Mindeman is in the house, and he took the question about are the Unico cabs too big literally, and he thinks they definitely are. And then we've got the B Me is here, Sir Sega, Israel Gaming. I got to
What's up,
actually
Izzy?
be on Gamer Fridge or Open Fridge earlier this week with Israel, and midway through he disappeared and Logan jumped on, and it was like a whole other thing. So check that out, you guys. It was cool to hang with him. JJ's here, and he later is kind of upset at the AI artwork thumbnail and the lack of accuracy there.
Your AI skills, I got to tell you, James. There's upscale level, there's high level, there's next level, and then there's you.
Well, I do love the stuff, so I am not addicted to it. There are people that are addicted to it that are very weird, like they are literally like having relationships with AI. I don't care that much.
Yeah.
We have R Burgers here. J Rod is here. Let's see who else. Brooklyn. Always nice to see Brooklyn stopping by. I noticed he dropped a chat on my Donkey Kong Bonanza kind of review video, and I think based on where he said where he thinks he's near the end of the game. He only has about 8 or 9 hours left to go. it, it is a long one. Every time you think it's going to end, it just keeps going.
I've
So
heard that. I've heard
it's
people are
pretty
trying to
fun.
speedrun it, but it's an actual odyssey. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's totally worth it. Meatball is here, and of course, the moderator of all moderators,
What's up, Jason?
the man behind the curtain, Jason Little Alien. Cornercade is here. Chris Nooner is here, and of course, giving the shout out to the crazy week that we've had with Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and of course today, tragically, Hulk Hogan, all passing away this week. So it's
Devastating.
been a
Devastating. Do you remember?
rough week.
Do you remember WrestleMania 3, James?
I do, yeah. I mean, that's one that honestly has been seared in my brain, like from being a kid. It was the only one as a kid that I saw live because a friend of my parents had it, got it on pay-per-view, and we all went over and watched. And one I saw over and over growing up, and obviously remember the Hulk Hogan cartoons and the cereal, all that stuff that was going on back then. And I was not a big WCW fan, so I kind of really missed the Hollywood Hogan era until they kind of came back together. Then I got back into wrestling again around that time frame, and then haven't been too engaged in it anymore. But loved the Hogan show. I watched that a lot too. Hulk's had such an impact on culture at large, far beyond wrestling. Whether it was, Rocky 3, right, or Rocky 2, which I can't. Rocky 3 was
Rocky 3, yeah.
yeah,
Suburban Commando,
Mr. T and all that.
Gremlins cameo.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah, so many
real,
great movies
yeah.
and goofy movies, right, too. So such a cultural icon, and
Best.
that was a big one. Obviously, Ozzy Osbourne, what can you say? Like the godfather of metal, so influential, and losing him a few days ago.
Yeah.
So MSU Rich is here. We have Aaron Stanbridge, first time catching it live. Well, thanks for dropping by. We got Dr. Torque. We have Kurt the Daring. The real Zim is here, not the fake Zim. And I'm sure his wallets are hurting today after all those San Diego Comic-Con exclusive toys and other collector garbage that we all waste our money on went on sale. Let's see. I think we got Jim the Pacers fan in here. And Michael B. the Game Genie here, who's asking if he still has any money left.
Right.
Mike Hockerts is here. End of the line is here. Saved by Zero. B. Kirby, always nice to see you. Ritual Dello. And the list goes on. And I'm trying to catch up and chat at the same time. Vic Vicious is here as well. Thumper Squid and Darren Kane. Speaking of Arcade One Up, Darren, former employee there, so he always has an interesting take on all things Arcade One Up. And so to get started, I thought we would jump into the Team Encoder new prototype, new project. They are kind of trying to judge consumer interest, I'll say. So that's really what they're looking at right now. And of course, this new prototype, few people have talked about it already, is around the Arcade One-Up pinball machines. Do you happen to have an Arcade One-Up pinball machine, or have you ever owned one?
I don't. No, I've got my eye on it. Certainly, I've got 2 pins right now. I'm not a pinhead, so to speak, but I've got a V pin, the micro one that they put out, which is excellent, and a real pinball table. It's a Flying Aces from 1978. If I were to get a third, that's the one I would have. As I said, James, I'm a big fan of A1U and what they do. How about you? Do you have one?
So I do not have an Arcade One-Up pinball machine, and I've personally never had one. I do have both at games, the HD and the 4KP. To me, the Arcade One-Up one always looked a little small. So it was never one that really interested me, in that you're limited to the games on the table. But I know it was a big seller. A lot of people in this community love them. And those who know anything about it, know it's kind of legendary that it is prone to having board physical hardware trouble, right?
Runs. Yep.
It's kind of a running joke, like that they were having people put these things in air fryers and microwaves to heat them up to repair them. It's kind of ridiculous. And so now that they don't really make them anymore, at least I don't think they're still making them. We haven't seen them ship any new in for a long time. They're certainly not selling them through their website. And I know the supply of them and various retailers is running low. So you can imagine we're getting to this point where people who lose their boards, and those who have experienced this have lost multiple in a row. It's not like it just doesn't happen. They get a replacement and they're good. It's a known problem that continues to happen. Eventually, that supply is going to dry out, and then these things are just going to be junk, right? You're not going to be able to do anything with them. You're going to have this big $700 thing you bought that you can't use. And so the guys at Team Encoder wanted to fix that, and they were nice enough to provide some kind of exclusive video. I've got some of it running actually on an arcade 1-up pinball machine. I believe this is an Attack from Mars. We're also going to take a look at some of the setup and installation. So I've got some photos of how it connects, and it's really designed to be super easy. There's not a lot of work as with this mod. So there's not a bunch of software you have to install. There's not a bunch of configuration you do. It's literally just plugging in some cables and some wires, maybe putting some screws down. And it's very simple. And it's, as they like to say, it's cornercade proof. So, so the goal is to have this thing super easy. And so before we dive right in, I am going to post a poll, and like I said, Team Encoder is really interested, and it looks like Mystery Encoder is in the chat, and they're giving a big shout out to Biggie D. I know that they're big fans of Biggie. And so I'm going to put a poll in the chat, and this is meant to try to gauge, interest as we talk about this. So this first video here is, as I mentioned, it is the Team Encoder board connected up, running on a stock arcade 1-up pinball machine, and it is running. And as soon as I can find the window, it's actually running Zen Pinball. So it's got the Zen Pinball software with their new interface. So I wanted to show that real quick. And we have a couple of these just to give you some idea. And you'll see you just flip it on like you would normally, boots right up in.
Perfect.
Using all the stock hardware. Here's all those arcade 1-up Zen pinball tables, plus some more Zen tables.
Some of these are great.
And one of the great features of this, and those who kind of know about the arcade 1-up, is like a lot of the Zen tables didn't actually run at the full 1080p. It was, I think, a lot of them run at like 720. But because Team Encoder's board, the prototype that they're working on, is beefier, more powerful, obviously built to last, it is outputting at true 1080p. What you're seeing here in this video, and we got one more here, is true 1080p output from the board directly into the screen. It works perfectly with the DMD. There's no mirroring. It's native DMD. All the solenoids work with no extra configuration or anything. So everything performs the plunger exactly as you would expect it to work. But with that added performance and chip, they're actually able to, and it's not in this demo, but they're able to upscale the image to 4K and then still display it in 1080p. So you get a smoother picture, you get smoother lines, so you get that super sampling. So you get even better than what you would normally get, even if the arcade 1-up stock could actually output at the 1080p. You're now getting that just that much more crystal clear.
That looks great. Yeah.
And so we have, let me jump to some of these pictures. So this is just showing the setup and the connection. So this is your typical, Y adapter that's connecting up the power and the solenoids up to the board. And looks pretty much like stock. There's your HDMI cable
Right.
coming out of there. There's the
Different.
power and stuff running into the I believe that's the back glass side. I'm not sure. Since I don't own one, I don't know what it looks like back there. That's that Y adapter. We have a couple more. This is so the one other piece you get with it besides the stock board is an LVDS converter board, so you can connect up the new board to the LVDS screen. And this is all prototypes, so all this stuff is subject to change, but this is their own enclosure for that board, so it can mount directly on, just like you would expect. So it's clean, you got nothing hanging out, chilling, just dangling. It's all nicely done. Again, all prototype stuff at this stage. Here's a video of how it's all connected up. So you can see, there's that LVDS board, and then it's going into that team encoder board right there. I'll pause it.
You got it attached. It's clean. It looks really clean.
Yeah. And so, you get all this great stuff and all this extra performance. And the great thing about it is it's designed to run, exactly kind of what you had. So the tables you're licensed for, you can still run them. If you own licenses for other tables through other Zen platforms, you'll be able to run those. Obviously, if you're fully licensed on those, you can run them. So it adds a ton of features, and obviously the big thing on this is the fact that, and I like to click around. So this is more of the LVDS connection.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back to the board on here. But so tons of extra stuff. And I think I saw Mystery Encoder in the chat. So if I got anything wrong or he wanted me to connect anything else, I did want to show this because I think it's super cool. Obviously, these things cost a lot of money, and anything we can do to prolong the life. Arcade 1-Up is notorious for fear around whether these things are going to last very long. Like, we kind of joke, we're all retro game fans, I think, right? It's no secret. And, we have old hardware, right? I got Atari 2600s back here that are, man, 50 years old almost.
We got some stuff older than some friends we know.
Yeah. And they work, right? Like, stuff was built to last. And so it's kind of a given these days that there's not a lot of confidence that these Arcade 1-Up boards are just going to last very long.
No, and that's why people like Mystery Encoder, whom I never met. I've heard wonderful things about him in the community, but it sounds cliche. They're doing God's work because they're giving these things a longer shelf life, and they're making it fun for people like us in the community. So bravo, that looked great.
Yeah, I mean I couldn't have said it better. I mean, you nailed it. That's exactly what these guys are doing, obviously, and they've got incredible skills. They're making, having these boards made. I know their initial run on these, like, they're literally soldering this stuff by hand, to get them out. And they're working on a handful of prototypes that they're using for testing with various people. And if there's significant interest, obviously they will release this for purchase in the future. Again, it's very early, it's prototype stage. But I think I heard them say that they're targeting a price range that would be around typically what you're already having to pay Arcade 1-Up if your board goes out.
That's reasonable.
So it's not an overly costly investment. It's, it fits right in with what they're doing. And before we go too far, I see a lot of membership gifting going on. So I need to give a shout out to Stock Jock, B Kirby, and Jason Little Alien, all who went ham on the memberships. So now you guys have put me all on the spot. I need to make sure I do a lot of good membership
Now you
content.
got to do yeah.
So I really appreciate all the support helps. I mentioned last week, I'm in the process of trying to hire an editor because I have some stuff I want to do and do at a higher level.
Where are
And
you with that?
so
I don't mean to cut you off. What's you're going to go into it anyway. What's
yeah, so I
yeah.
so I actually started out by reaching out to somebody who I know does editing and is very good at it. Not to hire them because they're probably going to be outside of what I want to pay at this stage, just because of how good they are. So, but I reached out to them to see if they knew anyone that was just getting started, that was looking to build a portfolio, who would have a lower hourly rate, right? So somebody I knew that still has talent, but is looking to actually just build up that portfolio so they can start doing more, and then we can grow together, right? Like as that works. So I have a certain desire that a look that I want to hit that is, um, you know, much more fast paced. I'm not patient enough to do the editing, right? So I really take a very kind of lazy way out. I use a lot of AI to help me with editing and stuff like that, but I want something that's more fast paced, but then loops in a lot of like meme type stuff, right? And comedic things that I would really want in there. I just don't have the time or patience to do. And then somebody that's really skilled at that, obviously, um, it's much faster for them. So it becomes economically more feasible. If I can pay somebody who's an expert at it, save myself some time, give them money. It's a bonus both ways, right?
That's awesome, James.
So that's my goal, is to find somebody reasonable. And I know there's other avenues, right? I can go to like there are sites like Fiverr and what are there's a whole bunch of these, right? That where you can contract with somebody, but I really wanted to get somebody that already was kind of connected to the space and knew people around there. So we'll see how that works out. I've talking to a couple people at this stage, but have to go through the whole like cut me a demo kind of thing, and let's see where we go from there. And so
The
hopefully
vetting
within the
process
next
of it.
month I have somebody, but we'll see how it goes. And Cami dropped by. So again, thanks everybody for the memberships. It really does help, and hopefully helps me bring you better content. And Mystery Coast says the point of video is showing these two cords cables there are basically the only cords and cables on the stock PCB. Yeah, so very simple to get this thing set
Yeah,
up.
no, he's doing great things. I saw him on Arcades Anonymous, and
Yep.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and so definitely, guys, check that video out from yesterday. They spent a lot of time going through this. He said it's really as simple as just unplugging those cables, plugging them in into the new board, and you are off and going. So couldn't be easier. And Biggie's actually shouting out Mr. Encoder here for the iArcade board, which was a very simple install as well. So there you go. Yeah, old ColecoVisions still work.
That's why,
True.
I mean, that was another reason why I went to the arcade one-up model in space. Didn't understand it when it first came out. This arcade that comes in the pizza box that you assemble, IKEA style. But beyond the price point, beyond the ease and convenience of it, beyond the size, if you're dealing with compromising space in your house, beyond all of that, I liked it that was new tech
Oh yeah.
because, like you said, as wonderful as it is to have the original traditional cabinets, from everything I've heard, James, they're a pain in the behind because it's constantly the tech keeps breaking down. It's 40 to 50 year old tech.
Oh
So
yeah.
to me, that was like, I don't want that headache. I just kind of want to enjoy myself, and I don't want it
Yeah.
cumbersome.
Well, and I'll tell you, like, I don't know, like, how much like, I've shared some of my history in the past. Like, in the 90s, like, the late 90s, early 2000s, I was going to arcade auctions, had real arcades in my house. Me and a buddy lived together. We had a whole bunch,
Oh,
right?
that's
We were
cool.
buying them all the time. We worked in comic shops. Like, I managed one. He owned another one, and we were constantly putting these in our townhouse, and then we'd put them in the shop, sell them out of the shop, make money while they're in there. And we got to know an arcade guy really well who did vending in arcades all over. And so that's how we got in with the stuff. And back then you were like, oh, you want an arcade? Like it was $50,
Yeah.
right? Like it was nothing. But
Yeah.
it was, they were breaking all the time back then. And when these things were new, they were breaking all the time.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, you go 50 years later, they've broken 10,000 times at this point, like every machine. And so they're being held together with duct tape and
Scotch
bubble
tape and
gum.
bubble gum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing for me was they were so heavy. And so it became that point where I was like, you know, I just gonna stop buying these and let sell off the ones I have because it's too much of a pain in the rear to move them around,
Yeah.
right? And you know, where I live, you tend to have frequent moving. It's constant, like upward. You're constantly moving in because the housing market where I'm at just is always exploding. So you're like always upgrading constantly. It's like moving those things around just became like ridiculous and it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
And so you let that go. And then here we are 20 years later when Arcade One Up comes out. And it's like, wow, like these are kind of great. Like, because they let you live that arcade dream, but they're small enough. And as you
Yes.
said, they're like IKEA furniture. And I think I'm not a huge like fighter guy anymore. You know, obviously in the mid 90s, that was like all we were about was like
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2 and Mortal Kombat.
Mm.
But I don't play them too much anymore. But still, the ability to take those classic games, mix them with online play, and you can compete with your friends. And the fact that they were doing that with some of the other games like beat 'em ups, beat 'em ups, to do online play with all of those is huge. Like it was
Amazing.
a revolutionary change.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what you want. Like you said, you want to have that experience. Number one, to go back and have those old feelings. Number
yeah,
two, to play with other people, to make it communal. Number three, and number four, to have the ambiance, to have that aesthetic of the glow, if you will, the cabinet lights,
yeah. The atmosphere and the sounds of an arcade in
the
your house.
sounds too. Right.
Like who as a kid didn't dream of owning an arcade or a single arcade game in your house, right?
I
Just
said this.
one.
The only drawback was if the arcade one up came out when we were 17, oh my God, James. I'd have lined the perimeter in my bedroom with it.
Oh yeah. And now it's like you're like, man, if I could just have one. And now
Yeah,
people have just huge rooms full of these,
that's
right?
right.
Like, and you went from being just like, if I could just have one arcade to like, I can literally have an entire arcade in my house.
Right.
And it's just so different. And it's really because of Arcade One Up that
Yeah,
that
it is.
really became a thing for the masses, right? Obviously, you know, the super elite could always, you know, do that, but it was
Yeah.
they brought it down to a level where it became really attainable for people, and explains why Arcade One Up became so popular so fast. It was not just I can have one cab, I can have 10, I can have
Correct.
15, or in some crazy places 30 or 30 plus, you know, who are really crazy.
We know some people like that.
just a few. Some that buy the same one over and over for some reason, which I can't figure out the thought process around. But so to see like guys like Team Encoder who have a history of taking those and expanding them for us so we can do more with what we have, and then now also breathing life into the products as they're going away, whether that's the iArcade or now the Arcade One Up Pinball, is just absolutely huge. And so now I think we might as well just pivot to talking about some quick news if I can find the news. Let's see.
Unico, you're talking about.
Well, we'll come back to the Unico. I'm going to save that one for as we get to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you heard about this story last week. It was kind of covered all over. We talked about it here on the channel from a ridiculous legal standpoint.
Yes.
Because I find that very fun to talk about personally. But there's an interesting update this week, and really kind of got behind the curtain a little bit. And I think it's worth touching on because it does talk about some of the things that I suggested that people follow, because you'll find that this guy didn't actually follow those. And so there was a lot of misinformation. So when this originally happened, obviously he's facing charges and potentially jail time because he did Anbernic review videos and other companies, right? Handhelds. And those are common in our community, right? Pretty much every content creator has done content on devices like this.
Yep.
And so, it was an interesting topic for all of us to kind of see, and everybody's kind of watching this unfold. And the YouTuber in question, this is all in Italy for those who don't know, basically pled completely like, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't have an affiliate. I didn't have any promotions with them, blah, 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 kind of down the line. And so obviously now we have more information. And it turns out he was doing a couple things that he wasn't exactly forthright with. So the first, which I think most people know is a huge no-no, is he was linking directly to ROM packages, ROMs themselves, through his channel, through his content, and basically telling everybody where to get illegal or pirated software. So that's one obvious thing that I think everybody kind of knows. The other thing he was doing is he was reselling these devices. So he was getting them and then turning around and posting them on Facebook. And based on the amount of devices they seized, which, if I remember right, was in the upwards of the
Hundreds.
couple hundred, two or 300, like, he's not just getting review units, right? He's getting tons of these and selling them. So he was distributing at scale a lot of these devices from what it appears. So I just wanted to kind of just update everybody on that. It's not huge news. Do you have any thoughts around this? I mean, the story's kind of older now, but I did think the update was
When it
interesting.
first came out, yeah, I was obviously not concerned, but I thought to myself, why would you make an example out of someone like this?
Yeah,
This guy's got under 50,000 subscribers, which is a lot, don't get me wrong. But, you could have targeted, I don't want to say anyone individual specifically, but you could have targeted a bigger content creator
right.
if you wanted to make an example. So that's why, to me, there was a hint of some sort of underbelly that was happening here. Did I think he was going so far as to sell them? I did not. That's brazen, James. I mean, it's one thing to link the emulators to the ROMs and direct people on where to get that stuff. It's quite another to sell the units
Yeah.
upwards in the hundreds. I'm not mocking the content creator by any means, but no, I saw your video. It was excellent, by the way. So I definitely do think we should touch up and follow up on the
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. It's definitely one I'm going to watch because I'm interested, because I did believe, I have to re-examine that a little bit, that Nintendo's probably behind this and was pushing heavily on it.
Sure.
At the level of what now is alleged the distribution, though, maybe it's multiple people, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think if it was like it was presented last week, where it was literally just because this guy was doing review videos on this, I really felt like it was a strong test case that Nintendo shopped around, found a country that was had some older laws that they were able to exploit, found a YouTuber that they believe doesn't have a lot of financial resources to protect themselves, and then are hoping to get a precedent set that they can use to go into other countries and say, shut this off.
Yes.
Now I'm not so convinced that's the strategy, right? If this person was basically using his channel as a marketing arm to sell devices, it's a little different,
Right.
um, as opposed to the gray area of affiliate versus straight up like going crazy. But so that's the update on there. There's one bit of news that came out today that doesn't I don't think it means a whole lot, but I found it was interesting. You know, I talk a lot about business stuff and the business of these companies on this channel. So this is a little bit of a business news, and it did not change, which stinks. So let me reshare and grab the window instead.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I hate when it does this. Like, it depends on the browser I'm using.
No, I mean the news. I'm curious as to know what you're doing.
So it's not huge. It's but it's one that's I found interesting. So Sony has invested in Namco, purchased 25%, 2.5%, not 25% of Bandai Namco. So obviously they pitch this investment as just wanting to strengthen their partnership between the brands. But this day and age, whenever I hear about Sony or Microsoft buying or investing in one of these studios, I start like turning an eye, because it's like, because how long before they take it over, fire everybody, and shut it down, right?
Not long.
That seems to be the case,
Yeah,
right? It's a pattern. So I just found this interesting. It was something little that popped up like right before I went live, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. You know, so
That's cool.
nothing spectacular. Like I said, just interesting that these companies are now tying themselves together a little bit. But it was a good lead in for this. I assume you saw this news earlier in the week.
I've got 6 on pre-order already, James.
Do you? So I'm avoiding this one as much as I casually like the Atari 2600, 7800. I do own the pluses of both of those.
Yeah.
The yellow's not for me. I don't I think it's kind of gaudy, but I know people love Pac-Man, so I'm sure they'll sell the hell out of this thing.
I'm a sucker for these things. I'm a sucker for retro, I'm a sucker for Pac-Man, and I'm a sucker for Atari. And this is the trifecta. How many gamers, how many of me's are out there? I don't know. We might be the minority. But yeah, I think these are spectacular. You said the 7800 plus, James?
Yeah, I have the 2600 plus, the 7800 plus. I've bought in every non-limited edition game they've released so far. So it's not that I'm not into these. I've bought like all. I just don't need yet another 2600 plus, right? It's not like it's an original like special edition. But it's cool. I get why people would want it, right? Like, I really want this limited edition pack, but I think the price they're asking just too much, right?
Yeah.
So this one for people that and it's storming here, I just heard. For people that missed it, obviously you get this recreation limited edition set with the full color box art and then these colored cartridges. The unique thing about Pac-Man, for those who have been living under a rock, is this one is a dual cart, so you get the original really great implementation of Pac-Man on the Atari 2600 that I know everybody loves. And then you get an actual new port of Pac-Man to the 7800 that's done. They think it's done by a guy who's really good at porting Pac-Man, so it's supposed to be really good. And of course, you got the other classic Namco arcade games. But for me, what I found the most interesting were these controllers. I think these are super cool. Such a great idea. Like, you can buy each of these separately or in this bundle. But they have, of course, let me see if I can get on one here. The unique packaging with the ghosts, right? So you can line them all up if you never open them. And you can have your ghosts and your Pac-Man one. And of course, they're all colored and they have the characters on the top. So these are going to be hard for me not to pre-order, quite frankly. These are actually really cool.
These are great. They're great collectibles. They're good for older generations, like you said, if you don't want to open them, or younger generations. I mean, Christmas, the holidays are around the corner, and as parents or uncles, we don't know what to get the kids. This is perfect.
Yeah, the great thing, of course, most people that are into these already know this, but the great things about these, obviously, these are all wireless, but they also work with the vintage hardware, so you can plug the was a DB9 connector in, and it works wirelessly. They also can sync to your PC. So if you're playing Atari ROMs on your computer or other Atari games that you legally own, you can actually use these to get that feel on your PC as well, which is really cool. So these are the versions of the games I will probably buy, which are, I've always been a big fan of the silver packaging, right?
Same.
So I like this look more than I like the color. Obviously, the colors were more common in the vintage cards, but when I think Atari, I think of like ET, right? That came
Yeah.
in these, and Indiana Jones, which came in these. So these, like, I like when they do it in the silver, and it's the unlimited edition, so you'll be able to get these for a while. The other thing I'm curious about, and one of the reasons I did kind of hold off on this, other than the fact that I'm not super like excited about it, is the 7800 plus. I didn't get till just this past Prime Week. And it was, they're basically like half off on Prime Week. So I'm kind of
Sure.
hoping
Yeah.
like the system ends up on Amazon Prime a year from now, and you can get it for like $60 or something. But it might not, right? It could
Yeah.
sell out. That's
No,
the
it's
risk.
it's I think that's a safe bet, James. It's the anniversary year for Pac-Man.
Yeah.
It's
It just
45
depends on
years.
how
Yeah,
many of these they make, right?
right.
So one of
No,
the
but
other ones, and I don't know if you've seen this, and I don't have the picture right in front of me, but you know there is a special edition at San Diego Comic-Con that's available today?
no. What's
So
that one?
yeah, so there is Pac-Man here, which I don't have a picture of it. It does talk about it somewhere. I've seen the picture, I just didn't find it before I went live. Um, it's a gold edition, so
Oh,
the
that's cool.
package is all gold, including the art, everything.
Oh, wow.
Um, and they're limited to 1,000, and you can only get it in person uh, at the con. So there's no sneaking through to order that today, because I would have if I could. But it's very expensive. It's like
It's
$100.
7800. Wow, it's
Yeah,
7800 cartridge. Okay, I see.
yeah. It's the same game, the dual, like where you get the 2600 and 7800 version of the game.
Hmm. Interesting.
Um, but it's in that gold special collector edition package, Comic Con exclusive thing. But it
That's
looks
neat.
just like that. It's just a shiny gold. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
very cool.
as Brooklyn says, it's $100. So, it's not inexpensive. Yeah, he said, yeah, we can get one tomorrow for $500 on eBay. So, yeah, and so there's the Art of Atari book that Darren's referencing out, and I do not have that one, but there are some cool. The other big one, I don't know if, do you have Atari 50th on any of your consoles or anything like that?
Yes, two of them. Big fan, like I said, James. Big fan of Atari. I have the 7800 literally plugged into my TV right now. The 7800 plus. So, yeah, I love what they're doing. I've been a big proponent of theirs, especially for the past 2 years. I think they've really
Ah,
come back with a vengeance and sold retro, sold nostalgia, sold what they're synonymous for. Not just, having the aesthetics of it and not having to do anything, but making it useful. You said you have a 7800 plus. That's
yep,
fully backwards compatible, so you can pay that you can play all
absolutely.
the 2600. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, this isn't just a retro console with 5 games baked in it. It's useful and it checks off all the boxes. So big fan of
Yeah,
it.
100%. And they're building in support for all the homebrews, right? Because Atari, one of the things Atari did is they bought Atari Age, and
Yeah.
so as part of that, they're building in all that support and things like that. So it's not just bringing the retro back; it's literally bringing the retro back so that we can have new retro beyond just the hardware. And like, I have a whole bunch of like homebrew Atari games now because of the 2600 plus. And I had a handful of Atari games, but I never worried about playing them. Now when I'm at conventions and stuff, I'm
Yeah.
picking them up. I'm like, hey, I want that one again, or I want, this or that
It's the
one, just to mess
counterculture
with it.
that they're able to do,
You know?
mixed with making new games, advertising, incredible marketing, strategic purchases. They've got a piece, I think it's 8 or 9 IPs from the Mattel Odyssey. They bought in
Yeah.
television. They own a piece of time now. It's not just they've become a brand basically of the late 1970s, early 80s. So
That's 100%.
I
Yeah,
love
they're a
what they're
great
doing.
fashion brand too. Like they've really dialed into the fact that people want to wear the Atari logo and
Correct.
the Pong logo. So they've done a lot of great fashion stuff that a culture that didn't grow up with them, right, are
Yeah,
all into wearing the Atari brand,
that's
even
right.
though they didn't own that stuff.
It's
And
a
like
great
you
point.
said, I'm a huge fan of what they're doing because I want Nintendo to do the same damn
Yep.
thing, which I've talked about at length. All right. I really think it's such a no brainer that there's a lot of nostalgia now for those retro games, not just because we're older, but even younger generations are thirsting for it because they're
Yep.
simpler games, they're good games, um, and they just resonate. You don't have to invest hundreds of hours to play a game anymore. You know, those games. And nowadays, every game comes out if you don't have like a month to set aside or log in every single day so you can check this box and check that box. Um, you know, it just becomes ridiculous. So younger kids are really like, I play one game and one game only. And these classic games let you just pick it up, play when you have 10 or 15 minutes. And I
They
think
don't
there's a
do
big
enough.
thirst
It's
for
funny,
it.
most art too, and that's the great art, and it's not just games, it's movies,
Right.
Terminator 2. The effects still hold up, the storyline, we talk about it,
Oh yeah.
music. When my kids were in the car for the longest time, if I played Plush from STP, I would see them, they would pick up on it. And video games are no different. Younger kids that would get into the newer games, I would get into this with my friends, and they're like, oh, you're just saying that because it's nostalgia. Not for them, not for a
Right.
new kid that just picked up Sonic, that just is playing Mario now for the first time. That's not nostalgia. So it shows you that these games still hold up, to your point. And you're right,
100%.
Nintendo, they're not doing a good enough job with it. They could be doing so much more.
Yep. Yeah. And with, you know, I have two young kids and you know, when they started getting to the age where it's like, okay, they're probably going to want to start playing and seeing video games, it became a point where do I want to expose them to modern video games?
Yeah.
You know, I have a couple older kids, and I did that because I was big into video games, and I was like, let's all play, and and as they got older, I started to realize it probably wasn't wise, right?
Yeah.
Like, um, you know, it's not how much they played because I grew up my entire life playing video games. Like since I was less younger than 5, like 4, I've been playing video games and you know,
Since
addicted or
four.
not, I just
Same
played
as
it
me.
all the time,
Yep.
right? And so it wasn't like they were addicted, but it was like the content in the games and you know, I just didn't like where gaming was headed with microtransactions and all these things, and it just became overwhelming. Now, it's not that I don't like current games. I really enjoy current games, but I think you have to have a certain level of maturity
Yeah.
for a lot of them. And so with my younger ones, I as I started like, oh, I got Arcade One Up, and I got way back into my retro collecting, getting that stuff back. It's like I want to expose them more like how I was exposed.
Yes.
So it's like, hey, you know, when they're young, like play these older games, get to love how the gaming works and understanding
Yes.
the challenge
You're right.
and working for it because modern games quite frankly aren't very challenging and when they
No.
are people whine and freak out whereas you know all these arcade games that were designed to eat quarters so they are not forgiving.
And again, we don't do that with any other form of whether it's music,
Yeah,
if it's movies, we don't start a child on Godfather. They start on Sesame Street. If
right,
it's
exactly.
anything really, like if it's a book, that we're not having them read Othello, we're having them read something of age appropriate. So why would you do it in inverse with video games? You wouldn't. So yeah, I agree with your method, James.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. Like so far, that's been my thought process, right? And I see it. They love playing in the arcade. I've let them, sample other things. Like we play Mario Kart World together and stuff like that. So it's not like no modern games, but it's very limited, right? As to what, we play Bluey, right? The Bluey art, video game, which is not great, quite frankly. There are better children's games, but
Yeah.
it's like Jeremiah Thomas says Atari used to have most of the Magnavox Odyssey 2 IP, but they
Yes.
sold them all a few years ago.
But they bought them back now, in addition to I think 6 other IPs from Bally, right?
Yeah,
AstroCade. So that's 2. They own all of Intellivision now. That's 3. And then of course Atari. So yeah, they own a piece. They own,
yeah, they own a
imagine
lot.
Nintendo bought, if they bought like Sega, imagine if they owned the 90s. You know, that's inherently what
What
Atari did.
Atari's done,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the late 70s and early 80s. So we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. And actually, the Odyssey 2 was the first video games I really remember playing. I didn't have it, but my babysitter had it. And because I had an Atari 2600 at home, even though I was like 4 or whatever, I was allowed to play it, even though all the other kids my age couldn't, because I had a system at home and knew how to do it.
There you
That
go.
just memory just sticks out in my head, right?
That's cool.
Silly stuff like that.
Very cool.
So speaking of nostalgia, right? I assume you've seen this now. This went live
Yes.
yesterday,
Awesome.
right?
So
This
good.
thing is amazing, and I know you've seen this because you have that great short where
Thank
you
you.
show the Lego commercial up against the
Yeah.
original Game Boy commercial, which is really awesome. And as a big Lego nerd myself, video game nerd,
Yeah.
obviously I have the NES one. I didn't pick up the 2600 one because I kept waiting to try to find it on sale, which
Did
never
you get
happened.
the Pac-Man one?
I didn't because I think it's cool, but I didn't like that it wasn't the full cab design, so I stayed away from it. I want the 2600 one, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna miss it. I've just been waiting on it.
I'm a
Um,
Lego nut too, James, like you, and I agree with you. I'm particular with the cabinet design as well, but yeah, get that one. I flew through that one, James. It's
yeah, is
very
it
it.
cool?
Oh, it's amazing. The coin light glows. They've got the marquee doesn't glow, but you can actually move Pac-Man
Yeah, I know
around
you
with
can move them.
ghosts
That's what I
chasing
love
you.
about the
Yeah, with
NES one, where
correct
you
with
can
some.
actually
Yeah.
Mario crank the
Yep.
little thing. So, and this one is super cool, right? You get the 2 cartridges, and then you can swap out the screen. Like, and it's near 1-to-1, so we'll see. You know, I got mine sitting here waiting. I ordered this the second the pre-order went online, like it was like without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
The really cool thing too is like theoretically, right? It's Lego. You should be able to replace all these gray pieces if you wanted to go with one of the color versions and
Right.
stuff like that. So you could go ham on this thing. And it's reasonable. It's only like $60, which a
Yep.
lot of these Lego sets anymore are 300 plus, right? Typically. So uh, I'm super excited for
I
this
saw
one.
that come out a few months ago, and then when the pre-orders came out, I was
Oh yeah.
there's that meme, Futurama, he's just waving dollars, just take my money.
Yeah,
That's
just throw
yeah.
it on Destiny. We always say like throw more money at the TV, right? So like like every time they do something, everybody's just chucking money at the
Yeah,
screen.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm fired up about this one. I think that's super cool.
yeah.
Um, Here's the box, seeing if there's anything else here that I've missed. But
The
this is the
cartridge
other
design.
thing. People are gonna put the real guts in this.
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure.
it's gonna be fun. Like, I can't wait to see what people do with this thing.
And it shouldn't even be that difficult. I mean, a lot of those, they've got the pocket micro ones. Have you
Oh,
seen these
yeah.
things? They're the size of a
Oh,
credit
little
card.
tiny ones.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of conventions, and in Midwest Gaming Classic, they always have a big section of guys that make their own like consoles. So they take the originals and then they do crazy things with them. So they have like handheld Game Cubes, right? That run the original discs, and it's the original boards or redone boards inside of them. They have like Wii U's like that. It's amazing what some of these people do. And those guys are going to run circles around something like this.
What expo was that? What did you say?
The Midwest Gaming Classic, that's the one in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So it's around the April timeframe.
Okay.
I didn't go this year. It was the same weekend as um what's it called? It's not Game On, it's Game something in Phoenix. Those are the two big ones
Mhm.
that everybody kind of talks about. Those are the two best ones to
I
go
I'll
to.
yeah, I'll try to go next year. Great.
The one I really wanted to go to is a newer one. It's been around a while, but it's new in that the SoCal Gaming Expo. I don't know if you know who Pixel Game Squad is.
Yes.
Yeah, so they bought that like 2 years ago, and their second one was just this year, and so I'm dying to go to that one. But the timing was horrible this year
Yeah.
because it was the same weekend as the Switch 2 launched, or as it shipped. So it was like, well, crap. I've pre-ordered this thing. I need to make sure I get it when it comes out. I can't be
Right.
in California and it sit out on my porch for.
Some of them, they're like Cleveland and Retro World in Connecticut this year.
Yep.
There's 5 days between, so it's like, oh
Oh,
man, the
yeah, it's
timing of
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah, we have Kansas City, we have KC Retro. It's like the week before. It's like September 6th, I think. It's the week before yet another huge one, and then
Yeah.
Cleveland is right after that. Like, it's all, like, right on top of each other. There's getting to be so many of them and not enough weekends in the year, right?
Yes, that's the thing. There's got 52 weekends or 50 really with the holidays. If there's just too many of them, like you said.
Yeah. So, you a horror fan?
Oh, James, stop. Big time. Big time.
Okay,
Why?
just had to
Who
make sure.
told you? Why you don't just ask that?
So, of course, you've seen this. I'm gonna let this play. I don't think this is the Red Band trailer. I already went through it once. I didn't find anything illicit in there,
Okay.
but it's close. Um, but the Hellraiser, obviously, this thing looks fantastic. Now, I don't know what the gameplay will be like, but it looks like for the first time we're gonna get a.
This might be a list. Is this the Red Band trailer you said, or it's not the Red Band?
I don't think it is because
Okay.
normally, right when you go to Steam, if it's risque or whatever, they put that age verification. It didn't
Yeah,
do that, and
okay.
I watched
Oh,
through it. I jumped off it already anyway.
Clive, so are you a Hellraiser fan?
Yeah, and so the original guy's back, right? So, dude, that's what's even more amazing. It's like we're gonna get his voice, we're gonna get all this great shit. So I'm super excited. Like, and you get to live it, right? It's all first person. We get to be
Yep.
embedded in it. Like, I'm fired up for this one.
Same. It's gonna be
So,
awesome.
I'm hoping it's like of the caliber of RoboCop. Did you play that one, Rogue City?
No.
So,
When did that one come out?
it's probably been 2 years since it came out. The DLC is about a new DLC with the new stories about to come out. If you haven't played that, check it out on like PS5 or Xbox
I'm
or
writing it
probably
down
on
now.
PC.
Yeah. Okay.
It's basically like a direct continuation of from like RoboCop 2. And so they brought the actors back, what I can't think of his name. Murphy is the real Murphy.
Peter
And
Weller.
yeah, Peter Weller's in it,
Yeah.
and it's all done
You
just
know
like
what?
the
I think I
movie.
did
It's
see.
so
Yeah,
good.
I might have played a bit of it, but I haven't
Yeah.
really sat down and done the
It's
whole thing.
very
Yeah.
good. It's not a super long game, but it's very good. Like, it is
Okay.
everything you want RoboCop to be, where you get to be RoboCop. Unlike every other RoboCop game, which was pretty lame. I mean, they're fine, right? As much as you could do on 2D and stuff like that, but
The 2D
this thing
ones
is
I
great.
never got into. I never.
Yeah, they're all kinda just like shoot every weird thing you come across
Even the
kind of a
2D
deal.
genre now, they're starting to get formulaic. The one 2D one that does look amazing is T2. Did you see this?
Yes.
Judge? Oh
Yeah,
my
unfortunately,
God.
it's delayed, so that's one I didn't have on the news, right? Was supposed to come out September 1st, and now it's delayed to the end of October,
James, it
but,
looks excellent. It looks
it
so
does
good.
look good. That's definitely on my pick it up in physical, form list because I wanna keep that one. But I'm super excited for this thing. Like this is every like horror game that I love, like all wrap and movies wrapped together. So they don't do enough like this. Like the fact that we don't have Friday the 13th like this, we don't have Nightmare on Elm Street or Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I know they've done some of those like multiplayer ones, just stay alive. One person's Jason trying to kill you, but
Yeah.
those are fine. But I want a big, like, epic story where I'm running from Jason, or vice versa. I get to be Jason and kill a bunch of
There
other
was
people.
one new one. I forget the name of it. These people made it. It's a ROM that you can download for NES, and
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. They actually sold that has all the slashers in it. on the different
Yes. So
levels.
you start the game and you could pick Chucky, Hellraiser,
Oh yeah, it's
Jason,
like
Freddy.
All
Uh,
Hell Unleashed or something like
Hell
that.
Unleashed. That's it. You
Yeah.
nailed it. Good job, James.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's on my I have to buy. I'm looking at it when I go to cons for the physical because they made a bunch of physical versions of it.
You heard about this. It's
Yeah.
really
Oh,
good. It's
it's
actually
so
very,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, I've watched lots of gameplay on it. Like people go through some of the stages on several of the characters. It's really well done. And do you know about the guy that made it? How this all came about?
Tell me.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome. He as a kid designed a NES game around horror, and he couple years ago decided to go ahead and make it. And so he went and coded it, put it together, and just put it out there for people. And he made a physical version of it. It was pretty janky, right? But it was like it was still pretty cool. And he made it, got it out there, and it was an okay game. And but it caught on because of what the theme was, with the horror and the slasher stuff. And so then within less than a year, he cranked out this one.
Wow.
And this one is done really well. You've got all those unique stages. He's done a lot. Like you can tell he's really put a lot of time and love into it. And it's not some typical homebrew. It's like you would think you bought this thing from a production studio back then, in my opinion. It looks and plays amazing. So it's definitely on. I want to have that one on physical. Yeah. So anybody that hasn't seen that, you definitely need to check that one out.
Yes. Hell Unleashed. Thank you.
Let's see here. I was looking at the chat. There's kind of all over. So since you're a horror fan, right? You played Resident Evil. Are you a big Resident Evil fan?
Very big, yes.
So that's my favorite horror gaming genre, right? Survival horror. Like they started that brand.
Yeah.
It's everything.
It's
like
they own it.
Obsessed with Resident Evil. Like I have pretty much every edition. I've got the action figures. I got every stupid thing you can get for Resident Evil. And so this was super exciting to find over the weekend or earlier this week, and that there is a new Resident Evil 2 arcade game coming out, like in arcades, is currently available. You can go out if you're in the UK anytime and soon. You can go play the beta version of it, which you can see this person playing here. And it's based obviously on Resident Evil 2. But I'm super excited for this.
That's a great one.
Yeah, obviously Resident Evil 2 is one of the the classic ones, right? And it's all based on the new, like the remakes. So it's the better graphics, it's the better stuff.
Upscale.
Have you ever played any of the Resident Evil arcade games? Because there are some, but we don't get them here in the United States.
There was one that I played that the mechanics were different. It was kind of like a rail shooter where you it just kind of guided you. And I forget if it was for the Wii or Wii U, but it was excellent. I think, was that an original arcade or was that just ported strictly?
So they definitely have done several shooters on consoles. So they did, they even did some clear back to the original PlayStation. So they've had a few, but I don't think they ever released the actual arcade version. So there's the one place I've been able to play it, there's a Resident Evil Code Veronica arcade. And that's the only place I know that has it. It's a Galloping Ghosts. And it's super interesting because it takes place alongside what's happening in Code Veronica.
Yeah.
But you have a gun that's also a controller. So, if you're an old school Resident Evil fan, you know how difficult it is for some people to get how you move, right? You have to turn right or left and then push forward to actually walk forward. Right. Yeah, exactly. And people hated that back then, right? Which I thought the game was awesome, so I didn't care. But that's how the arcade game works. And it's super frustrating. So I can get where people didn't like it because you have this big gun on a giant stick and you're trying to shoot everything on the screen. But at the same time, you have to then push the gun to move around and side to turn. And it was crazy.
Yeah.
I did play through it because it was Resident Evil. And that was the one game I was going to get through the whole game. but it was interesting. And
I'll
like,
check it out. Code
yeah,
Veronica. Cool.
if and it, like most Resident Evil games of that kind of genre, that era, you can play two sides of it, right? So you can pick the other male or the female character and go through a different path and experience the stuff from a different direction. So it was really well done. It's all in Japanese, so I have no idea what they were saying. So I just pretended, but you know the story, you get the gist. So this, I'm super excited. Hopefully, it actually makes its way in the next couple years. But I'm very excited for this one.
That's awesome.
But, and what is this? So this is a good point to transition to the Unico discussion, right? So I'm just going to share this for a moment. This is not related to Unico, but specifically, but I did find this, and this is a company in Europe somewhere that currently sells full-size replicas of a Neo Geo MVS arcade. So people that may be wondering like what it might look like if Unico does one, here is an example. And in fact, if you look down here, you get a couple options, and I know that might be hard to read, but you can get a 24-inch widescreen or a 26-inch 4x3 Unico. So not only is this company already producing these over in Europe, but it actually comes with that Unico screen. So, and there's no extra cost. I went through this to try to buy it. I think you just tell them which screen you want. And that's the one you get.
Yeah.
Now it's 1,400 euros, which is going to be a lot more in the US, and you would have to ship it. But I know Unico has a history of working with other people. I don't think that's the case here. This company produces a bunch of replicas, but this, I think, is kind of what we're probably looking at from Unico, is they're going to make things like this. Look, it even has wheels on it, which I think 19K Fox mentioned in his video, which is linked in the description, where he talks about the latest news on Unico. Also, Joe's channel is linked down there, so make sure you check it out and give Joe a follow.
Thank you, James. How tall is that, just out of curiosity?
Well, I had the measurements in front of me, which I don't now. I believe it's 70 inches or just over 70 inches. It's not the one that gets even taller is the four MBS one. So it's the same width and depth. The depth is 3 feet. The width is, I think, 25 inches. But the height gets really high when you're on the one that has 4 slots.
Boy, they're getting bigger and bigger now.
Oh yeah. So we got to start with some powerful points.
So Candy Cat, yeah.
Are you familiar with the Unico Nova Blast? Is that something you've seen previously? This came out last year.
Yeah. No, I'm. This was one that I had my eye on. I was actually looking for some options on the secondary market. Is this a new one? I'm trying to say.
No, this is the original. So this is the one that came out last year. Have you actually played this one at all?
I haven't. No.
So I was, people may not know this, but Unico, like their warehouse, whatever you want to call it, is here in the Kansas City area. And they put the prototype out at an arcade near me that a guy I know owns. And so I was able to go in there and play it for quite a while and shoot a bunch of footage. I have the video on my channel if you're interested in looking at it closer, because I go through all of it. But it's, as soon as I played it, I was like, oh, I got to have one of these. Like, it plays so well. And that giant screen, like right in front of your face, like,
I love it.
Just such a different experience. And so I haven't bought one yet. It's definitely on my list. And what I want to use it for, and that this is kind of the one thing that they knew was going to be a challenge for them that they are trying to solve, which is one of the things that Fox announced officially on his channel this week, is that it doesn't come with any games, right? It comes with harnesses to connect up, JAMA or USB, or not USB, but obviously it has USB, or HDMI, things like that. So it supports a ton of connectivity, PCs, but it doesn't come with anything. So you're paying $1,200 for the full unit if you get the top plus the base. If you want to throw on the chairs, that's another couple $100. But you're into this thing for just the unit at around $11.99 with
That's not
nothing.
bad.
No, it's a good price, and it's all metal, so it's all
Yep.
sturdy. It's like really quality.
Even not being baked. I mean, Syndicate L is doing that. RetroCade. Call
Yeah.
me crazy, James. I sometimes wonder if that's the future. If these things are just going to be aesthetic shells that that you could fill whatever you want with.
Well, 100%. Obviously, that's what they did in Japan, right? Candy cabs went crazy, and there's just like a few designs, and then you just put your different boards and stuff in there to play. And so I think they were smart at this. And I think while they have leaned into the home arcade market, and this is kind of where I was going when I asked, hey, they've got some big plans. Are they too big? Was that not necessarily size. I think size plays into it for sure because these are full size. These are big beasts of machine. They're going to make. Well, I guess we should talk more about what they're going to make, but
Mhm.
they're full size arcades. They come with JAMA connectors. They're meant to carry original boards and hardware, though you can connect up other devices as well. So it straddles the line between what would be in an actual arcade and what maybe you might want to put in your home.
That's well said.
But I think it personally leans more towards arcade than home. Um, there's always going to be a group of people like 19K Fox themselves that want to have the full real home arcade experience, the real arcade games in their
No
house.
substitute. Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly. But when you're one of these arcade vendors or proprietors, you have a very limited options when it comes to buying cabs that are quality enough at an affordable price. And so for me, Unico's sweet spot is serving that market. Like it's an underserved market. So when we talk about the rest of the products they kind of announced, to me, those are killer, right? What right now, Unico's number one product is that screen, the Phoenix line of screens.
Yeah.
And those are clearly marketed towards arcades, right? When your monitor goes bad, when your CRT goes bad, it's super hard to fix them. I think there's like one guy in Kansas that does it, and people from
Yeah.
all over the country come in and have
I
them
forget
fix it.
his name. No, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
it becomes ridiculous, right? But you can swap out with the Unico monitor. It's 4x3. It has the right inputs, has good look, and there you don't end up with a janky 16:9 monitor with a stretch screen, and you're presenting the game in a weird way. And so I know a lot of arcade owners that use Unico, buy their equipment all the time. So, as we talk about this is the product that's out there already. I know arcade companies are buying this already and putting it in their arcades. There are a few arcades that have channels on YouTube, and there's some of the very few videos you can go watch on this system from people that bought it because they bought it to put in their arcades. So they've done content around it.
Right.
Um, but one of the things they announced is that they are going to release new versions of their candy cabs that are licensed and include games with them. So they'll have unique art around whatever license. So, you can see fighters and I think shooters are always big on these candy cabs. So you have kind of both. So you could see, them partnering with Capcom to release like Street Fighter 3 or something
Mhm.
on one of these very
Sure.
easily. Obviously, Unico's known for having the SNK license, so you've got a whole bunch of Neo Geo games that could be on here. Maybe they come out with a whole red one of these. Who knows? But that will be interesting. And this is not entirely new news. So they announced at the end of December, also on 19K Fox show, they had Jay Mason, who is a principal at Unico, and he talked about doing just that. Hey, we want to come out with some sort of device or unit that can be shipped with the Nova Blast so that it ships with games, right? That it's an actual playable unit. And so that's the first thing that they have confirmed now that's going to happen. Obviously, they're still working on lining up all the right licenses, but that is coming. So that was cool to hear.
Very cool.
Because I know that I think is a barrier for a lot of people picking this up.
Even new gamers, I would
not
wager
cheap.
to say that they don't. I mean, where do you see arcades now that have those? I don't even.
Like very few. Because to get a even just any candy cab, you've got to bring them in from overseas or find
Correct.
somebody here that wants to get rid of them. Where Unico's like now uniquely positioned, and I think as more people see it, especially if they can get it with other equipment already in it, you're going to see that get picked up quite a bit.
They have these at Retro World, James.
Yep.
If you go to Retro World, they've got the stations, they've got the guests, the modules, they've got like different types of memorabilia that they have, the kit car, the DeLorean. They warded off a wrestling ring, and then way in the back corner, you've got an arcade section, which is really neat. It's near the cafeteria.
And Retro World's the one in Connecticut, right?
Correct. Yeah, and then in the back of near the pinball, they have not a lot of pins, about 10, but in the back of the arcade, yeah, I mean a straight line of I'd say 20 candy cabs, and they were always bumping. There was a waiting list to get on those. So, but otherwise, to your point, I don't know any arcades that really have these. And maybe the Galloping Go. Yeah.
So Retro World this year's hasn't happened yet, or did it?
No, it's September. It happens.
September, right?
Yeah.
So Pixel Game Squad now owns half of that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So when you go this year, all the Pixel Squad guys will be there because when they bought SoCal, they went in halvesies with I'm gonna draw a blank on his name.
You know what? Someone did tell me this. Yeah, I think Chase told me this. You're right.
They had such a great experience like working that together out there that they said, why not? Like, let's just both do them because you guys bring different sets of skills than I do. Let's team up and we can split the work up on both conventions at the same time.
That's probably why this year they put more.
Yeah, they're amping it way up because of all the success they've had out there. So I'm super jealous because that's another one I want to go to because it's it's there. That's actually closer.
You got to make it then, James. Have a road trip
for sure. So this is the other big news from Unico, right? 3 new full-size upright arcade cabinets. So this is, I think, one of the more interesting things they talked about. And again, a couple of these aren't all news, right? Again, in that discussion they had in December on Fox's, Jay Mason hinted that this is kind of the direction they were going, and they were working on it, and they were working on licenses. And specifically, the Big Red was mentioned as one they were working on. They don't have. Again, we're not 100% sure whether you would have SNK licenses with this or not. Obviously, I assume they're working on those kinds of things. But a Big Red is, one that is natural, one we all assumed Unico would make because they make the NVSX 3/4 scale Big Red. So we assumed that would come. And it now seems to be confirmed they're going to make one. So even if they don't get the license. So I think that is the more interesting bit of news and why I talk about, or why my opinion is that this is their real market is real arcades. If they can sell them to us, great. But I think they need to be, and I don't know that they as a company are geared this way, that they should be really marketing this to arcade owners.
Yeah, you're right.
The idea around it is it's a replica cab of the Big Red, comes with that Unico 26-inch monitor. So these are going to be huge, full-size, all wood type cabs. And, I don't know how much you follow Neo Geo, but I'm a huge fan of Neo Geo, so I've
Same.
kind of paid attention to the stuff for a long time. But you can go on places like AliExpress and you can buy MVS boards like all day long for very affordable amounts of money. And so if I have an or if I run an arcade and I want Neo Geo, man, how great would it be to just get a replica cab that has all the connections and all the hardware and everything I need, and I can just go out, buy an MVS board off of one of these places, and now I can actually have a real working Neo Geo without having to hunt one down, do a bunch of repairs to it. At most, now all I would need to do if this thing came solid red is just get with Joe Zabos and get some art and a
Correct.
marquee. And I'm telling you, these arcade companies, we all like in home arcade like to whine that Joe Zabos takes forever to ship and all this stuff. Well, it's because he's actually doing the real
He
things
cares.
for real
Yeah,
arcades.
that's right.
Like the arcade owners I know all use him, and I was shocked that they even knew who he was. I was like, I thought he was this home arcade guy. It's like, nope, they all use him. So it's like,
You're
um,
right. You're right, though. This is for more arcades. I mean, of course, you can have it in a home.
yeah.
It shows
Well,
it in a home, but
and
it's more. I think it's more for, especially like, and you broke the news, or you didn't break it. Remember, you had a video on it. Chuck E. Cheese
yeah,
is making an arcade. GameStop is making stores that are arcade. AMC, the news came out. They're going to put more arcades in their movies. So this is something that's it's happening. There's more and more arcades going to be sprouted out, and they're not going to fill them with A1Us. So they're gonna this is what they're going to look into.
yeah, I mean, that's the perfect transition because that was the point I literally was going to make. I went and looked at the Chuck's arcade, right? And they have those Pac-Man and they have Donkey Kong and they have Galaga. But if you look at them, they look like the right cabs, but they're not. You look at them, they have 16 by 9 screens. They're
Yeah.
not, you can tell they're not the real cabs. And so they didn't go out, these big corporations didn't go out and buy a bunch of used arcades, refurbish them, and ship them to all their stores,
Correct.
right? So they had new ones created. And so if you had a company like Unico out there that is like, hey, I make the shells for all this stuff. And so now you can just get the boards or you can get aftermarket hardware to do this stuff. You've got the original looking cab and you have an authentic retro arcade experience where right now that's really reserved for a lot of the mom and pop arcades, right? The barcades and people like that
Yes.
are willing to go out and for the love of the hobby. But as these big corporations, like you mentioned, AMC Theaters, um, Chuck's Arcade, even Dave and
GameStop.
Buster's.
Yeah,
Dave and Buster's doesn't have a bunch of retro games because it's too much of a pain to deal with them,
that's right.
right? But if they have a company like Unico that's out here making like these things where they can just drop them in, suddenly it's like, oh, well, now you've opened up a whole new market. And that really, I think, brings us to their next cab, which is one back in December we were all guessing, and I know it's not confirmed, but I think it's still pretty good that this is probably the other cab that they're
Wow.
working on, which is Big Blue. Now, again, maybe they have licenses. That's why this doesn't have any license on it, is that's stripped off. This is what it would look like in a bare bones. You just buy it, right? And then if they're unable to secure license, and I don't know for 100% fact, haven't talked to anybody at Unico. I don't have any inside information, but I know this one's been rumored for a long time. During that live stream, a lot of people were kind of hinting that this was it. So their second one, I think we can pretty much guess is going to be a Big Blue. I
This
think,
is a big boy, huh? My
yeah,
God.
oh yeah. So this is a huge, tall arcade. I don't know if Galaga guy's in the stream. He has a real one in his house. I think it barely fit in his basement. He has like less than like a quarter or a half inch of clearance, because of how tall that marquee is. But these are obviously, bangers for Street Fighter, a
Yeah.
lot of Capcom stuff, and a highly desired cab. So again, another one that if they release will have high demand, but will it have high demand in home arcade, right? Like I think they said Fox said they're pinpointing the price or a similar price around what the Nova Blast is, which is $1,200. So again, are people in this community going to pony up $1,200 for a cab like this? I mean, some will. The question is at what scale? I think
I don't think though I don't say this as someone with endless amounts of disposable income, but I think that's fair. I mean, what are we talking about? If an
oh,
average A1U is 600 and you look at that
oh
and
yeah.
it's double the price, but you're getting double the cabinet. So I don't think that's unfair.
Yeah, I don't think it's overpriced, but I question how many people will buy it at that because what happens is we've seen with Arcade One Up that once you cross a certain threshold, a huge swath of the community won't make the
That's a
purchase,
good point.
right? So there are people like Glenn's obviously is in that price range. He just did his Kickstarter, and I think he showed to everybody there is an appetite for some of this. Um, but what's the scale? How many units can you move? Glenn's up to almost half a million
Half a
dollars.
million, James. It's
Yeah, it's
wonderful to see.
huge amount. And so now other companies, right, are all going to try to get in on that piece of the pie. And that's where this is sliding in at. But you're not getting, even with these at $1,200, are you getting everything you get with his? Some more, some less, some different, right? So it'll be interesting to see like how these take off. But but to me, I really think they can move way more units to arcades than they can to the average consumer. But I think you need the average consumer to help weather that storm. Because
I
I would
agree.
imagine arcades are chunks like, hey, I want to buy 10 of these and then I don't order anything again, kind of
Correct.
a thing. But it's certainly interesting. And this is going to be a popular one, right? So that's the second one that I'm pretty sure is coming out. I get like a 95% confidence level. This one, I'm 99% on Big Red. Um, and then that brings us really to the third one, which I know Fox didn't really talk at all about the third one, other than that there is one. Um, I think P Dubs did a video um, talking about it. I know Michael B did a video
Yeah.
talking about it. Michael B, I think, talked about maybe a Dynamo. Um, I'm going a different route. I think they're going to do a RoboTron style cab, if not RoboTron itself. And the reason I say
Boy, that
this
looks great.
isn't just because, like, a lot of people want Robotron, but it's because in that interview back in December, in talking to Jay Mason, he flat out said the one he wants to do the most is Robotron.
That's true.
And now, can he get the license? I don't know, but that's a question about all of these. So if this is the one he's really wanting, and this is one that's been kind of the talk of the town for a couple years now, I think thanks largely to Michael B's like drum beat on Robotron.
Yeah.
And now Stock Jock is completely obsessed with Robotron.
I know. He's that's something we share. I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
So my opinion is that they're going to do a Robotron, at least a Robotron style cab. Now, again, I have no inside information, and I probably put this at less than 50-50 odds, but I think if he can do it, he wants to do it, and this is the one he would do. So we'll see. I mean, it could as easily be a Dynamo because you can fit a million different games in it. But I'm thinking we're going to get a
I
Robotron.
saw Michael B's video on that one. I didn't see Patrick's. I'll check out P Dubs. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw Michael B's in the Dynamo. I agree with you, James. He flat out told everyone. So it's just
Yeah.
about procuring the license. And I don't know how arduous that would be. Yeah.
Jason mentions that they were looking for other form factors. So that's what I think the three will be. But the other mysterious thing, which you can see in the thumbnail, was this mysterious third form factor, right? Like it's specifically, we were told it's not a candy cab and it's not an upright. So it pretty much limits our possibilities, right? So not a lot of options when you're saying it's something that's going to fit like a 26 or 30-inch 4x3 screen, and it's not an upright or a candy cab. There's not a whole lot of options left. I mean, it could be this is a Vice City or a Versus City. So,
Candy Cam. Oh
but
wow,
it's a
that's
candy
cool.
cab, right? So it's probably
Yeah.
not one of these. But these are the connected candy head-to-head candy cabs. Technically, you could probably already set your if you had a couple of Nova Blasts, you could set them up like this. But this is designed to be connected. You can see the toppers connect and the bases are kind of connected. This is designed to be a head-to-head competition cab. Could it be this? I mean, it would fit with the Nova Blast, right? If they came out with some other, but I don't think so. I think the odds that it's a versus city is very small, and especially because Fox told us it's not a candy cab.
Right.
So that leaves cocktail table. Could be a cocktail table, but
I don't think so. But
26-inch cocktail table, 30-inch, probably not a cocktail table. That would be one hell of a big cocktail
it
table.
would be. That'd be a dining room cocktail table.
Yeah, it would put Arcade One Up's pub
Infinity
tables
board.
to shame, right? Like
Yeah.
that thing would be giant. So I don't think we're seeing a cocktail table, but it's certainly a possibility. This next one, obviously, if you can see a silhouette on the thumbnail, you probably know what I think it is. This next one is what the form factor I think we're going to get, and that, of course, is a sit down driving cab. So I just picked Daytona, but this would be perfect for their 30-inch monitor, right? A huge driving screen. You got the seat. They can have it like this where it's two separate units, so it's a little easier to ship. This is what I think they're doing, is that it's going to be a sit-down driving
This
cab.
is something, James, that no one has put their arms around in the home arcade. Even A1U, their design, it's
Right.
real. Yeah, I'm. There's a guy, I forget his name. Retro Recipes. He's an English guy. He was an extra in Star Wars. Anyway, he did a mod. Check it out if you find it on
Definitely will.
YouTube. Star Wars. I'll send it to
Oh, I've
you.
seen that. He did the full,
You saw
like,
that?
canopy, yeah. Did
And
he?
no one's done. I mean, when I saw the video, because it's enclosed, and when you would play those things, like that was
Oh, yeah.
1982 technology. It wasn't surround sound. That wasn't
Yep.
even stereo. That was mono. But it felt like surround
Yep,
because you
because
were
you were
enclosed.
encased. Yep, exactly.
And when I saw it, I thought to myself, this is like it should be something that's so obvious, and it's
Yep.
small enough to fit in home arcade. I love it, James.
Yeah, and you had, like, Star Trek like that, you had Star Wars like that, Road Blasters, like, so many classics that were
Correct.
fully enclosed, and then just the driving themselves, and we know if you're a PC gamer, racing simulators are huge,
Yeah.
highly popular. You can't go into a Micro Center or even a Best Buy anymore without racing seats and racing
It's true.
rigs, and, you have the, Logitech wheels everywhere because people are building racing rigs in their house. And so if people are willing to spend that kind of money for a racing rig, they're awesome, especially with VR and stuff. You can really get into it. I think it makes a lot of sense to do an arcade quality racer. And Unico, with the way they're approaching things of doing real wood and everything else, like they're truly making a real arcade cabinet,
Yeah.
and having the big screen already, keeping it focused on like one racer. I think this makes a lot of sense. And what better thing to debut at IAPA than a racer?
I think
And
you're right.
so this is my guess as to where they're going in this third form factor. Now, what license? Who knows? I think Daytona, as much as we would a lot of people would love to see Daytona, I don't think people are ever gonna see Daytona. It's too many companies you have to pay.
I agree.
Right, it's NASCAR. Like, maybe if you could get just NASCAR and have blank cars, but people want the real cars. They want the cars with all the brands on them, and you're just that's very expensive. But so I think we'll get some sort of driving cab, and I
That
think
looks
that's what
great.
they're gonna show at IAPA, but I don't know that for a fact. Obviously, I have no inside information. I'm gonna say it again. So people don't take these as
You're
facts.
gonna
These
need a
are
disclaimer on the
yeah,
bottom. Yeah.
these are my opinions, pure guesses with no info other than what has been said in those 2 streams. Um, but I think it would be really cool. This is one where, especially if they can hit, I don't think they can hit a $1,200 price point at this, but I
No.
think you could get, I think you could get close and then add the seat on, right? Like say, oh, the seat's an add-on or something like
But
that.
again, something like this, you're gonna get what you pay for. And I say,
100%. Yeah.
if you want premium champagne, cigars, whatever, let me ask you, would you pay $1,800 for this?
Probably. Yeah. Well, I mean, look at what Buy Stuff did. They did that super sprint and those were like 3 grand, right? And they sold through what they wanted to make like instantly. They were
Three
gone like in
grand,
a blink of an
three
eye.
grand for this is high. The sweet spot
Yeah.
here is between 18 to 2,200.
Yeah.
And
The difference with theirs, right, is it has the 3 steering wheels, it had
right,
PC and all that other stuff. So
yeah.
it had a lot more to it, but it was of this size, right? But it's a full stand up, not a sit down. So this should be technically a little smaller. Um, but they had no problem selling those, right? And shipping
Yeah.
them all the way from Canada. So I think there's a market for it. And certainly I think you would see arcades want these, right? To be able to get newer, in good condition driving cabs that they could put in other driving games in, I think would be a hit. So that's my guess
Yep.
for what this third mysterious form factor is.
What about a shooter? I mean, you could still do the same theme of this.
Yeah, so that is the other
In
option.
other
So
words, instead of a racer, you're in a cockpit, and you could
yeah,
be playing
and
Afterburn. Go ahead. I'm
there's
sorry.
also no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was gonna say there's also the literally a cockpit, right? So you could do Afterburner or something
Star
like
Wars
that.
arcade. Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
I I would love that more. I like those games more myself, but the reality is the world likes drivers more, I think. So
That's
that's where
true.
you would get it. Yeah, and I think a shooting cab, most shooters are going to be upright. Now they have like you mentioned a bunch of modern ones are sit down. Um, but I think if you go back to like traditional arcade cabinets like Terminator 2, Time Crisis, Operation Wolf, Silent Scope, all those, you stand up at every one of them.
Right.
So, um, I kind of discounted the shooter simply because of it's a mostly are upright. But I do think I would love an afterburner.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
I would be like over the moon. There's actually when I was at CES this year, there was a company that had a full hydraulic system that they sell for your home for flight sims, and it was pretty cool. Like just running off a PC and stuff. I was like, oh, I need one of those.
Or even an older one, if the '90s IPs are too much, you could
Oh yeah,
do Star Wars, or that would be a hefty IP, a Thunder Scepter, let's say, something
yeah,
like that, something where like you're in a cockpit. I still like your design, and I agree with your prediction. Um,
yeah. If they got Afterburner, like I would probably buy it
oh,
without even
James,
thinking about it.
it would sell out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, and that's without it moving, right? Just if it was a cockpit afterburner that I could sit at and do it, even if it doesn't move, like
forget it.
I would be
Yeah.
over the moon. Because I think afterburner is awesome. J Rod wants a space harrier.
Okay, that's yeah. Same.
Meatball. So Meatball is one of these guys that has one of the buy stuff, but his is off road. He had him customize it to be off road. So he bought that big Mama Jamma. And so I think J-Rod said he thought it was 4. I just know it was way out of my price range, so I didn't buy it. But so it was 3 or 4,000, one of the two.
I actually
Oh,
want to
now
see
Meatball's
that
saying he
too.
has both. So there
Yeah,
you go.
the bigger boy. You said Gallagher guy had it. I'll hit him up just to
Yeah, he
see.
has the big blue, that ginormous big blue
Yeah.
that he got, that Fox got, picked up, refurbished for Galaga guy, and because they, they all kind of live close to each other. But
Oh, he
yeah,
got it for him.
well, he obviously picked it. He picked it up for him. Galaga guy paid for it all and paid for, I think,
You
Fox's
see, it's
services.
stuff
But
like that. And I don't want to veer off topic here, but it's stuff like that that makes me love this community when I
oh
see
yeah,
nice
because everybody's
gestures. And
helping each other out.
I
And
love that, James. I
yeah,
know.
yeah. One of the greatest things why I started, like, I don't know how long you've been watching, like when like Michael B and P Dubs and Console Kits and Fox and all those guys went to Cleveland the first time. And we all as viewers kind of went along and watched the fun, right? It was
Yeah.
like that was pretty unique. Like I haven't seen that in any other YouTube or online community where like a bunch of creators just got together and went and did that. And then viewers went along. And then the next year it just got bigger and more people went like to Chicago and
Yep.
all this stuff. So it was super cool. Like it's a super cool
I
experience. And
never went to one before yet last year. Retro World was my first one, and
nice.
it's yeah, your high school comes out. It's really hard not to give in, and you get that feeling when you're in Disney. When you just run around and give in to the child. Like I'm serious. Like it's
Oh
just
yeah.
like so. Yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to these coming up for sure.
And you're going to Cleveland this year? Or are you not going to with
I'm
the AI
No,
guys?
I'm going to 3. I'm going to FNCOM in Illinois. I'm going to Gaming Cleveland Classic, I think it's called, in September. And then the week before that, I'm going to Retro World in Connecticut. So
Yes.
yeah,
You're
I'd
gonna
like
be
to.
very busy there.
Are you good? Am I going to see you, James?
I am probably not going to Cleveland. I haven't written it off yet. I haven't said no yet, but it's on my maybe list. So it really depends like what else I have going on at the time. I'm a seat of the pants kind of guy. I don't plan very well. My wife hates it. Like I literally was debating going to Midwest Gaming Classic up until the night before. And I'm like, I could leave now and be there in the morning. And she's like, like
Oh, that's fine.
so it's like that's how I'll do it. And then I'll just at the last second be like, all right, I'm going. What swayed me is why I didn't go to Midwest Gaming Classic is because by the time I was like, I'm probably gonna go, I'll just go buy tickets. Is the VIP tickets were gone. And I was like, well, I don't want to go unless I can go on Friday because Friday, if you get a chance to go to the Midwest Gaming Classic, Friday is the day to go. And you
Yeah.
can only go if you buy like the VIP tickets. But what makes Midwest Gaming Classic special is not only does it have a giant vendor floor where they have all those cars like Kit and Back to the Future and
Yes.
Ghostbusters and just every car you can imagine in there. They have 120 plus vendors, just huge amount with the wrestling rink and all that stuff.
And
But they
that's why
have,
I mean it was so fun because the wrestling ring
oh yeah,
and
so much stuff to do.
like you said, all these vendors and stuff to buy and
Yep.
gaming royalty in some cases. Dan Kitchen,
Oh
it was
yeah.
awesome. It was just like I said, it's very hard not to give in. I don't want to pressure you, James, but I would love to see you in Cleveland.
I've been asked a lot, so it's
Try to make
not
it if you
not
can,
just
because
you.
I would love it.
But the Midwest Gaming Classic then has a second floor. It's on the same space, a second room that is just as big as the vendor floor. So it's ginormous. All arcades and pinball machines. And on Friday night, that's fully open. And so you can go in there with a very small amount of people. And it's in Milwaukee, so it's only like 40 minutes outside of Chicago.
It's amazing.
So all the big pinball companies go. So it's like all the arcade games you want to play, plus all the new pinball games. So it was literally went to Chicago Pinball Festival like in last October, and I was like, man, there's more games in pinball at the Midwest Gaming Classic than there was at the Chicago Pinball Festival. And it's probably a little bit of an exaggeration, but there was a lot.
No,
Like there was a section that was right after Jaws came out. They probably had 20 Jawses.
I
And
believe you.
it was
I wrote it
insane.
down. I'm going to go next year.
Yeah, it is an experience you won't forget. They have a full stage where they do like rock concert stuff, so they have different bands that play. They have a full like board game area. They have a second arcade where Garcade sets up, brings a whole bunch of like, 25, 50 retro games. So they have two full arcades like through the whole thing. Only the upstairs one is like massive.
That's awesome.
They do they have Museum of the Nintendo World Museum where they have like it's all set up like an old Nintendo World show. I mentioned that whole area about the creators that downsize or blow up, like make really big versions of consoles. It's huge, and it's 3 floors of stuff, literally, of just content and things you can do. And so it fills the entire weekend, and it's an amazing show. I think probably these days the only thing that would come close is what Pixel Game Squad and those guys are doing. You give them a couple more years, and that thing's going to be so big that
Like I said,
it'll be like San Diego.
This makes sense
insane.
now. Where they're vesting in wrestlers, and
Oh yeah,
Buff Baggle's going to be there, and Demolition, and all. Not that last year wasn't spectacular, it was, but you could see when you got the card this year that there were more.
Suddenly there was a lot more talent and
Suddenly
stuff.
there was A-lister,
Yeah.
yeah, bigger content creator.
They experimented heavily, I think, with video game voice talent at the SoCal one this year. They said it didn't quite go as well as they thought. Like they didn't know. They had to experiment. And the only way to experiment is to just do it. Right. And every time you bring a guest, you have a guarantee. So they're guaranteed to make a certain amount of money. So if they sell a bunch of autographs and take a bunch of pictures, you don't pay them much of anything other than, pay for their hotel and their flight and things like that. But if they don't sell anything, then you have to meet that guarantee. So you have to pay them. Like, let's say the guarantee is $5,000, then you pay them $5,000 for coming. And so there's a risk. There's a risk reward when you bring those talent in. And so they went heavy into that. And it didn't quite go as successful as they wanted. I mean, it wasn't a bust by any means, but they played and said, okay, well, now let's try some other things. So that's, I think, why you're seeing the wrestlers and stuff out there. And every area is different too. So like, what will the community in California want versus the community up in Connecticut and things like that?
Point.
So they have to feel all that out. And I'm sure they know Connecticut a lot better because he's been running that con up there for years. So he knows where the big bang for the buck will be. But yeah, that's pretty awesome that you're getting to go to that one, because that's definitely a bucket list one I want to visit. So it's weird to be like talking about conventions, going to conventions again, because like I said, I used to run comic book stores. We did all these conventions. The big ones back then used to be Chicago Comic-Con, which ended up being Wizard World, and now it's like what is it? ECE? I don't know. It's got some weird name now. And then San Diego is still San Diego, but it's like 10,000 times as big. And it was huge when I went. Like, it was crazy. So I went out there one year to work for a buddy who does conventions. In fact, he owns Planet Comic-Con. He's the guy that started it here in Kansas City. And I worked for him for a while doing his website, and we would help when guests came in. And it was when it was a small convention, and now it's like this nationally recognized thing. But he was doing San Diego Comic-Con, and he needed some people to work the booth with him. So he flew me and my friend out there at his expense to go work the Comic-Con. So we got passes for the full time. We could get in there before everybody because we're vendors and all this stuff. And it was amazing then because you would be walking around and there were celebrities everywhere buying nerdy stuff. So it was like eye opening. It was like, what do you mean they like buy comic books and toys and all this stuff?
I know.
Obviously it makes sense, but as a dumb like 19, 20-year-old, I was like, this is crazy. This is fun, you know?
Yeah.
And so like, you know, we had I'm gonna draw a blank on his name. Like Sulu came up and you know was like buying stuff, and then Christopher Glovin came up.
That's amazing.
That's where I got to meet Stan Lee and Kevin Smith for the first time, and Jay. So I have a signed clerk or a Mallrats script by all those guys and
Oh, that's
stuff.
wicked. That's
And
awesome.
because a friend of mine worked for Kevin for a while, so but it was funny like to go to meet him and all the stuff. And that at that San Diego Comic Con is where they debuted Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. They showed like a little intro or 15-minute clip to it and stuff. And I can remember going then and being like, man, this convention is packed. This is insane. Now I watch it online. Like you can't even buy tickets. You have to enter a lottery to get tickets.
I know. Yeah.
And if you want to go to one of those events, like you have to sit there all day long just for the chance you might be able to get through the door. I'm like, that's nuts. Like it was crazy back then, but you could pretty much get into stuff if you wanted to. Like you just had to wait an hour or two. And now it's just like I can't even imagine. And there's, you know, I've been watching stuff all day because all the toy companies are out there showing off all their stuff. It's like that was not a thing back then. It was just comics.
Yeah.
You know, comics, comic artists, you know, the comic publishers. There's no toy companies out there. You know, it's like it's just, and obviously the media side of it has gone crazy. They all debut every movie. They bring in all the major A-list actors and stuff to be at those things. So it's a crazy time. It's like I want to go out there again to just see how bonkers it's gotten versus watching it on TV.
They had that was Retro World. I went in expecting just video games, and it was retro movies, retro celebrities, music, toys, comics. They even, like I said, wrestling. Blitzkrieg Wrestling was there. So it was, I mean, it really, talk about checking off a lot of interests and hobbies. And we have all of them. So it was like, all right, this is really filling a lot of needs.
Oh yeah.
Killing six birds with one stone.
Yeah, the more of these you go to, you'll find wrestling is a staple at a lot of them.
It's incredible.
Yeah. I wish Kansas City's is very immature. So the guys that run ours are great. It's just been very slow, like to get it going. This year is going to be the biggest one. They've partnered with a couple other people, and it's actually in downtown Kansas City finally. So it'll draw a crowd from all across the city that are not just diehard retro game people. So I think it'll be a different experience. But I've watched them go from like in a tiny room inside of an old Mason Lodge, right, up to a mid-sized convention center to now they're getting into one of the big convention centers downtown. So it's growing, but it's not been as explosive as some of these other ones. But I'm very excited for where they're going. So I'm really excited to see what they do this year and how much bigger it's getting. They need to dial in a date though. So like it tends to not, like the last one was in December of like 2023. Mm-hmm. And so now it's been a year and a half now, and we're going to hit September. So it's like it's been all out of whack, and you never know when it's going to be until like maybe 4 or 5 hours before it. Yeah. And so it's like they're always in a different place. So it's like trying to get them to dial it in to be like, all right, now we've got the sweet spot. We know what we want to do. Every year we're going to try to get in this time frame. That's the next step, because they're not going to build a reliable repeat audience unless they can count on vendors being able to schedule.
Right.
And so they got to get out ahead of it a little bit, but they do a great job. I love those guys. It's a ton of fun, and it's been fun watching them grow and see more people come in. Like at the last one, I don't know if you know who Chief is, but he's a big toy vendor, hangs out with like Narc and all these toy collectors. Yeah. So they're all over on the toy collector side of YouTube. But it was cool having them there, and the Game Chasers were there. They Game Chasers have been there the last 2 years.
Game Chasers, I know.
Yeah. So they're friends with Chief. They all hunt toys together. So if you know the Game Chasers, you've probably seen Chief because he's on there all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's a ton of fun. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready for that stuff to start here. Oh, look, Goofyfoot says he's coming to Kansas again.
James, I don't want to pressure you, but I hope to see you in Cleveland.
Well, Goofyfoot, the next time he's in Kansas, we need to actually meet up because he was up here in Lawrence, which is about 30, 40 minutes away. And we got some epic toy stores in Lawrence and stuff. So, and I know he went there, checked them out, but and he knows the town I live in. So he gives me shit about it all the time because he used to be out here. So, but yeah, I'm super excited for that to come because I feel like it's been forever since I've gotten to go to a convention. It's been since Chicago. So chomping at the bit to get out to one. So I don't really have anything else, I don't think. So anything you want to plug, shout out? Anything you got going on coming up?
This was, I got the 3 conventions coming up. This was a treat, James. I really appreciate it. I'm still kind of seeing if I'm gonna get into the live stream space. We'll see. I've got a lot of content creators giving me advice one way or another. But no, the next time, the next big thing coming up is September between Cleveland and Connecticut.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give you advice on going live or not. I think it's interesting. This community does it, that I've seen, does it different than everybody else, right? It's a lot of the communities I've seen, like retro gaming specifically. Like you look at guys like Spawn Wave, RGT.
Yeah.
What the hell's Wood's name? I can't think of his channel off the top of my head.
Bigger content creator?
Yeah, he's huge. He's like the biggest Switch content creator, and I'm drawing a blank on his channel name now, so he can be pissed about it. But I don't know why. I watch it all the time.
No, you know what? It was really that pushed me, like the space and the circle of friends and the network that we've fostered. And you start rifling it off in your head and think, all right, James Hates Everything, Corner Cade, Jay, Nerd Lounge, Gamer Fridge, Garage Gamer, Perfect Storm game. You have like 50, 60 people that you have in your Rolodex, and you think, all right, if half of them tune in, that's a sizable room. 30 people, So
yeah, and those retro guys, those guys, Switch guys, the modern console guys, like when they do live streams, it's more like impromptu. They don't do it like this community does, where everybody kind of has like scheduled shows that they go do and kind of talk about stuff. It's not that other people don't do that. I just think it's a different environment. The community is different. Like, like I mentioned, those conventions where people have gone to because of the way the Illuminati did, where viewers all come, right? And then the viewers start making content. Everybody starts coming on. Like, a lot of us started all as just viewers of one of these guys at some point, right?
Yes.
And all just decided to do it. And the community embraces each other and lifts each other up. And that's what's been awesome about this space, I think, more than anything. And so I wouldn't say we're just old and regimented, maybe.
I like what you said, James. You mentioned impromptu. That might be interesting.
And
doing it guerrilla style with a cell phone. Maybe I'll start one at the convention. So that's interesting.
Yeah, those are always kind of fun. But it is interesting. So I'm not gonna say, hey, go do it, because it can be a lot of work to be like, oh, I've got to come up with something with. Especially it's hard if there's not a lot going on, and Lord knows in the last couple of years there's not been a lot going on in RoboTron. But it's all just hanging out, and that's the difference. I think is a lot of it's just everybody hanging out and bullshitting with each other about the stuff they like, as opposed to just some content creator that just speaks at you, that doesn't really engage with the audience but superficially, which happens in a lot of other spaces. So I watch a ton of. I don't watch normal TV all that much anymore. I pretty much just watch YouTube. And I find myself, for the most part, mostly watching live YouTube. So I
Yeah.
watch not just these home arcades, but political channels or
Yes.
retro gaming channels. I watch the produced content too, but uh, I find the discussion aspect way more engaging than anything else.
I agree.
At least they engage with their audience. Yeah, they're mad because I'm talking to you instead instead of the chat today. So Cyan's got me there, and there's a slight romance going on, I think, in the chat as well. So trying to
No,
give those
you're
guys their
doing a great
privacy.
job, James. I'm really impressed with your channel. You do great work. PG always. You can watch it with my kids, my niece. You stay out of the drama. I'm not just saying
I
this to wax poetic. I mean it, James. Your
Well, I
channel's
appreciate
awesome.
that. I appreciate it. I don't take compliments well, so so I do appreciate it. Um, I should probably be a little more PG. I know I can be a foul mouth at times, but I do a later show, so I tend to not swear and produce content. Um, but yeah, again, I appreciate everybody being here and hanging out, and that we got a random 19K Fox sighting in the chat, so that's always good.
Very cool.
And I'm sure he uh, would have corrected me if I said anything horribly wrong or inaccurate. so so we do have that. So I again want to thank everybody for being here, and I got to get this ready because you know what we do. Till next time. Oh, I got to hit it again. Till next time. Have fun.